Greetings and welcome back to another edition of Kettering College Convocation Conversations here at our Learning Commons. Today, I'm talking with Pastor Steve Carlson, the Kettering College Campus Chaplain. Let's go. So I'm here in the Learning Commons talking with Pastor Steve Carlson, the Kettering College Chaplain. Steve, tell me a little bit about what the chaplain is and what your role here is at the college.
Yeah, my role at the college is to provide spiritual support, and that comes in a lot of different methods, but really the place that we glean the most clarity from is in Ephesians 2:10, where it says that we are Christ's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus for good works that he prepared for us to do them, like from the dawn of time, it says. So in other words, we believe that each student, that each faculty, staff member, all of us were gifted with abilities that God gave us and wired into us to use those to help other people. And so through programs, we're offering students the ability to grow in that, through counseling, through opportunities, through building community, helping them understand that God has equipped them with gifts that he's now planned for them to use for the betterment of others, both now and when they're working in a hospital or when they're working in a clinic.
That's great. I was going to ask you about this because Kettering College is a healthcare college, and you are not only providing spiritual care to our student population, but you're also doing hospital chaplaincy training that you've been doing for a little while now. Tell us about your experience training to be a hospital chaplain.
Yeah, so training in the hospital for chaplaincy is called CPE, Clinical Pastoral Education. And the idea is that when you go through this program, they're training you with skill sets like spiritual assessments and such to be able to understand what's happening with a patient when they're in the hospital. Not just the procedure they're there for or the surgery they're there for, but how are they feeling? Because when you're in the hospital, it's not that you're necessarily struggling with something that's a lot different than regular life. It's that you're now laying in a bed, having a lot of time to think about it. And so you're there obviously for the surgery, but you have the regrets that you're carrying with from relationships, financial concerns, things that you haven't had time to process, but now you are. And so being over there has equipped me with the ability to help figure out what does it look like to have that same care for our students here, because they're dealing with the exact same stuff, but when we're running around class to class and program to program, you don't have time to process those things. So we want to help support as they process those when they have the time in the midst of everything happening here.
So that's really interesting, and you kind of give me a little insight, but tell me how you're going to bring that chaplaincy training back to your role here at the college.
Yeah, so the idea for me is to be able to equip our nurses, our PAs, OTs, all of the students that are going through here to understand what it looks like for them to provide spiritual care. Not just in the sense that they call on a chaplain, but that they understand whatever role I'm in, going back to this Ephesians verse, God has gifted me with the ability to provide something good for the people I work with. And so training through classes that they take here, training through counseling, training through opportunities where we can help them to catch up like a vision of how they can offer spiritual support to patients in the future while we offer that to them today while they're here at school.
Wow, I just love this kind of like it's like this three-pronged approach where you're providing spiritual care services to our student population. You're helping them develop their ability to provide that spiritual care as persons, right? But then you're also bringing in this hospital chaplaincy aspect where you're kind of opening up our students' awareness of the hospital chaplain as a resource to provide meaningful spiritual assessment and spiritual care to a patient population. That's really awesome.
Yeah. It's a very fulfilling experience for me to be able to watch as our students realize they're capable of so much more, not just being able to take vitals or do what they've been trained to do, but to step into the heart of a person.
Wow.
And to understand that they can make a tangible difference in the way a person feels and sees themselves and hopefully sees God, understanding that those are very connected.
That's really great. We all know that we're in the middle of a pandemic. And
right.
Part of, yeah, that's right. And part of this is mental health and self-care and spiritual care. What off the top of your head, what suggestions, thoughts do you have about how students can practice self-care and especially spiritual self-care right now?
That, to be honest, that's a really difficult question. As I think about, though, the first thing that comes to mind is that really cheesy but well-known saying where it says, date the model, marry the mission. In other words, I know the mission, like I'm committed to where I'm going, I'm marrying the mission, but the model that gets me there, we're just dating. We're not committed to that. And so if I know where I want to get, I want balance in life. I want to have emotional stability. I want to be able to build the relationships in my life, to be able to navigate, juggling all the things that come with life. I know where I want to get. I'm married to that, but how I get there is going to have to change. I used to spend every Wednesday maybe meeting with such and such a person, and that filled my cup. But now I can't do that, so I have to figure out how to connect with people in a different way. I used to be able to go to the gym and exercise, and that helped clear my head and get me ready for everything that was coming during the week. I can't do that, so now maybe I've got to do push-ups in the living room, or I've got to walk around the neighborhood and wear a mask. And I'm married to where I'm going, but I'm only dating the methods that I use to get there. And so it's re-envisioning how to do that. So we want to, and I think this is really what you're asking, we want to help students figure out how to do that while they're here.
How to focus on the mission while being flexible on the, okay, things are going to be different for a little while.
Yep, hanging on to this is where I want to go and this is what I used to do isn't going to help me anymore. That has to change. So we offer that through all kinds of different methods here, but I would also say, to our students as you're coming into this, there's a lot of people available to help you with that. Not only myself, but faculty, staff, everybody is in your corner to make sure that you're able to help navigate this as best as possible. And if it's little things through conversations, we can do that. If it's through techniques, we can offer that. If it's through serious help, we have counseling professionals that are available. We have phone services that are available for students when they realize, I've reached the end of my rope and this is more than I can handle. That's what we're here to do, is to say, we know where you want to go, you know where you want to go, but let's be flexible with how we get there. That's the method that we're going to work on changing with whatever's necessary day by day.
Steve, I'm so glad that you're part of Kettering College. I'm so glad that you're bringing not only this heart of service and of spiritual development for our student population to your work, but also that you're bringing this skill set that you can not only apply at the college, but also help open up that awareness to our students who are going to become healthcare professionals.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for your time here today.
Thanks.